Canada has the 14th largest economy in the world. So you would think you could find a lot of products from Canada in the store. So to test out that theory, I visited some folks.
So here's a nice little basket. Wonder where that's made. Well, looks like it's made in the Philippines. Or how about some plastic tray drawer things? Made in the good old US of A. Or this nice little handheld iron. I wonder where that's made. Made in China. Or a 34-inch power pedestal fan. Also made in China. Or this little guy, whatever he is. That's made in China too. Or this American flag. Please me USA, please me USA. Thank you, USA. Or some patriotic pencils with stars and stripes. That's made in Thailand. That's a little uncomfortable. How about this little top hat USA patriotic thing? That's made in China. Or some patriotic head thingy USA, also made in China.
So what in the world is going on here? Not only did I hardly find any products from Canada, but I also found a rather disturbing trend that patriotic products are not even manufactured here in the United States. There's not a lot of sense that seems to be made out of the products that are being sold in stores, so what do we make of this? When we examine world economies, there's really at the heart of it three basic activities that an economy can choose to participate in. On the one hand, you have natural goods and services, where you basically harvest the natural resources. On the other hand, you have manufacturing, and then the third option is that you have service type economies. Now, you might have a country, for example, United States, that chooses to participate in all three of these economic activities. But to understand how an economy operates, it's really important to talk about the difference between an absolute advantage and a comparative advantage. So if we take the United States, there is manufacturing that takes place in the United States. And the United States, if the United States created more manufacturing goods than another country like, say, China, then the United States would have an absolute advantage over China in the area of manufacturing. But if China could produce those goods for less, China would have a comparative advantage, meaning that China can produce those goods more cheaply than the United States. Even though the United States might actually produce more goods than China in a given product or marketplace, China still has a comparative advantage if they are able to produce them more cheaply. So let's come back to the idea of Canada. What is it that Canada does? Are they primarily service, manufacturing, or natural resources? Well, the answer is that they do a lot of everything. And you really have to examine it for each product. But when we look at some particular products, Canada certainly has a comparative advantage in regards to natural resources or services or manufacturing. So part of why Canada's economy seems to be so invisible in stores is because it's such a well-developed economy. Much of Canada's economy is really based on a service economy, and therefore you won't see those products sold in stores. One of the products where Canada does have a comparative advantage as far as actual resources that are sold in stores would be lumber. Obviously, Canada has a lot of trees and a lot of potential lumber to be harvested. So there's one particular area where you do actually see Canada's products. But again, the bigger story here is that Canada has a well-developed economy, and just because you don't see Canadian products in stores doesn't mean that their economy isn't humming along very well. The other piece of the puzzle, this sort of mystery on why United States patriotic products would be not made in the United States, again, that relates exactly right back to comparative advantage again. Because when people are buying sort of cheap patriotic knickknacks, even though they're patriotic, really essentially they're looking for the cheapest price possible. And the cheapest price possible is only going to be found by manufacturing those goods outside of the United States. So even though it's made in Thailand or China, the key selling point there for many customers is 99 cents. If it mattered that it was made in the United States, people just wouldn't buy that 99-cent product that was made in Thailand or made in China. So again, it comes back to comparative advantage, and really much of our marketplace and much of our economy does rely on this concept.